and then do a screen share. So welcome to those that are here. Let's see. Okay. So um, we have one of these every Wednesday night at 9. I picked 9 because it's late enough that most everybody's home finally. And I also try to keep them short and interesting. Some of them are just on topics that are sort of exciting things to think about in MI in MIS. So we'll go over some things today. This is the course kickoff, so welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody. We're going to go over these 3 things. Now that I'm going to do these, um, this is not the way you should deliver your final course project. Okay? When you deliver your course project, I want to see animations. Okay, please mute. I want to see animations, movement, transitions, and whatever you do, do not read the slides. Okay, don't do that. So here we go. First thing we'll talk about. Think about the last time that someone you know got a raise. What you might want to do is disable your video. That'll save bandwidth because one of you is blinking, blinking, blinking down here, and that's probably my internet connection.
I think that's me, and I don't know how to disable my video.
Okay, down on the bottom left-hand side, there's a microphone-looking thing, and then there's a camera-looking thing, and you can mute audio, and there you go. Okay, so
thank you.
You're welcome. Who received the pay raise? Was it the person that did exactly what they were told to do? The one that did only what the requirement stated, right? So who maximized their course performance? Who maximized their career performance? Not going to be this one over here, right? But do a little extra. It's going to help. When it says use substance, if you do have the audio on, down on the bottom left-hand side is a mute place. It looks like a microphone. If you select that, it makes it go away. Okay. When you're developing your topics or you're answering discussions or you're answering questions, if your response answers the question, why, right? Then that's part of an analysis, and that shows that you're learning and you're expounding and you're expanding, and that's what you want to do. Whether it's your initial response or some of your responses to the peers in the course. Someone that says, hey, you did a good job, you did a really great job, that was really cool, oh, I love that, I like that. You know, that's 5 or 6 sentences that really say nothing other than good job, and that is not a good response, is it? You're all working probably somewhere, and so you have experience. Add your experience to your discussions. But guess what? While I was working on my PhD, they had big conference things. So the big is my video on? Oh, good. Well, it's on. It's just not showing. Okay. And one of the conference management people said, John, stand up. So, of course, I stood up in front of 1,000 people. And he said, if you say something, you tell me something, why should I believe what you say? And I said, well, I have 20 years of experience. He said, that's nice. And I said, I'm certified and expert by the 3 different governments, 3 international governments. And he said, that's nice. And he said, so why should I believe what you say? And I said, well, I'm an engineer and it's impossible for me to lie without getting a funny feeling in my stomach. And he said, okay, that's nice too. But guess what? If you want me to believe what you say, then you're going to substantiate your belief, your opinion, your experience with somebody else, with a scholarly source. So that's using sources beyond the text. Sure, you can cite the course text, but that's just the course text. Go find out what the rest of the world has to say about things. Just because it's a text does not mean it's 100% all that you need to know. Okay? Do some research. The electronic library is fantastic. And if you're going to use web sources, go out and find scholarly web sources, not just Joe, somebody said that. Who is that person that said that? What makes that a justifiable source? Which brings up the other topic. Do not use dictionaries, Wikipedias, Expedipedias, anything that ends in the word pedia. No, right? That's not a scholarly source. You used a dictionary when you were in the 2nd grade, and you used Wikipedia in the 3rd. Now, you're working on your bachelor's degree, so use some good sources. Here's the other one. As you're working, isn't this fun? Try to balance your workload. One of the hardest things for people to do is manage their time. They go, well, sure, I have plenty of time. Well, you do, but there's never enough time. So what you do is, if you can make a schedule, try to stick on the schedule. I'll study at this time, from this time to this time, on this day to that day, and use that. But remember, something will always interfere. So leave some extra makeup time. And I know when you're working and you're going to school, I have been there. And I think I might have posted into one of the discussion threads today. At one point, I was working on a bachelor's degree in EET. I worked 12 hours a day. When I got off work at 6 o'clock in the morning, I rode my motorcycle through the snow and everything else up to the university, parked my motorcycle, got off, went in, took courses. When I was through with my courses, then I went in and I was the guy that ran the labs, right? I mean, I was the lab person. That was my job. And then I also tutored people. And then at some point, I went back to work. I'm not sure where sleep and food ever entered into that. So it's tough. And you're doing a really hard thing. So congratulations, you're going to succeed at it. Balance your workload when you can and do what you can always, okay? All right, how do you get better? I keep getting email from the dean, and she says, John, yes, ma'am, make them do better. Okay. Help them get better. Okay. Well, you guys have to do the get better. And so here's the first thing. I had some people in another course write to me, and they said, what did I do wrong? And I said, well, did you read your feedback? Oh, no. There's always feedback, regardless of the score. I went through one course, and I had an A, and I thought, wow, I have an A. What a wonderful thing. And I never read the professor's feedback. A year and a half later, I found out that she had been delivering feedback to me that would have corrected what took me another 6 months to fix in the way I was writing. I didn't pay attention. It was an A, but by George, it was an A by a half a point, right? Not a good idea. Read the feedback. And I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. If something that's in there does not sit properly, then ask me about it. Always check the scores for accuracy. My eyes and my fingers mix. This is an admission of, I guess it's an older person's thing, right? I took in a test for the post office, and you had to be able to look all the way across and all the way down and find the first thing. You were not allowed to use your fingers or anything, where the columns intersected. Well, now my columns intersect all over. So I might, what looks like it might come to you and it'll say Janice, and there's no Janice here. And you go, what the heck? That might be one of my finger crosses. Okay, so when you get something like that, or the score looks funny, just let me know. Because here's another thing, last course, I click on the rubric, click, right? I clicked there. Well, the rubric did not react. And had a student kept calling me. They said, how come I did not get those 3 points for that part of the discussion? I said, well, you did okay. The rubric did not react. So if that happens, just let me know, okay? Go ahead and get involved with people. If you find something that's interesting, go get involved in that discussion. Okay. Whew. So some of the deliverables, right? You have beginning, middle, and end of week engagement. And I think I finally got that rubric posted, and then I found out, well, it's already in there anyway somewhere else. But what does it mean? If you want full engagement, then you're going to have to participate across the whole week. What does that mean? Not every day. Not every day. The beginning of the week is what? Monday and Tuesday. Wow. Middle is what? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wow. End is what? Saturday, Sunday. There you go. Started again at the beginning. If you participate well in the period, Monday through Tuesday, and the period, Wednesday through Thursday, etc., or Wednesday through Friday, then that meets the engagement. And here's something that, a little known secret. When you do that fun activity, whichever period of the week you do that, that gets credit for that period of the week. So if you want to take the weekend off, do the fun activity somewhere between Saturday and Sunday. As long as it shows up on the calendar between Saturday and Sunday, ta-da, you have credit for the weekend. Or if you feel lazy on Monday and Tuesday, do the fun activity on Tuesday. And you get credit for the beginning of the week. Okay? All right, you'll also have some case studies, some assessment papers, and a final project. Now I can get lost here. All right. So what are these assessments? There we go. When you do the assessments, please use the same organization all the way through. I think you have 3, at least, right? Use the same organization. And because most of you are going to pick your own organization, you don't have to tell me what it is. Make up a name. Protect your organization's integrity and privacy and that sort of thing, and just be able to demonstrate that you know what you're doing, that you're finding valid information. And you can say corporation X, Y, and Z, company B, organization whatever, organization Harry. What? It's okay. I do not need to know the exact organization. That way you are protecting any proprietary issues or any issues that someone says, hey, you're out telling the world about our dirty laundry. No, you're not. I don't know who it is. And if they're okay with that, then, there you go. All right. When you have an assessment, make sure that you answer all the questions, because that's one of the rubric elements. It'll say something like, fully answered and discussed all 7 elements. And if you only answered 6, then that's no. That's not maximum score, right? Make sure that you have a cover sheet, a heading, and sections. What does that mean? What's a cover sheet? Well, that's really tough. That's just something that says this paper was written by, delivered by, for this. There, it's a separate sheet. You can go out and look on some websites, and they'll show you examples of cover sheets, but I really do not care if the example is perfect or not. I just want a cover sheet. It's a requirement. And then headings. What's a heading? Well, for this, that would be like an APA level 3 heading. All that is some centered text above the paragraph. So if you're going to be talking about how to tie your shoes, that's the first topic in your discussion, how to tie your shoes, then you want a heading, tying my shoes, and it's centered, right? And then down underneath that, you would talk all about how you went about tying your shoes. And then when the next topic appears, then it's the next heading. Well, guess what? Where does that heading come from? The heading designates a document section, and the document section corresponds to the rubric section. So all you have to do is look at the rubric, see what the big blocks down the rubric represent, and that comprises your sections and headings for the document. So it just falls right out, because guess what? I have to grade according to the rubric. And so I look at the rubric, and that's the way I grade. When you separate it, it just goes 1, 2, 3. You get the content, you develop and acquire the learning objectives, and away you go. Okay, so always when the assessment says present conditions, then it's every single one. And when it says improvements, and this is the big one, a lot of students will say, we do so well in this that there's no room for improvement. No. There's always room for improvement. So when you reach the assessment that asks for improvements, make sure that you justify and explain why and how and all of those explanatory terms. There needs to be an improvement and what it is and why it's that one. Okay? So just the big thing is, can you explain the reason for things? All right. Let's take briefly on the final project. You must have an approved topic. Last term, I had a student wait until Saturday night of the Sunday, which was the last day of class, and he said, oops, you never approved my topic. And I said, oops, you never sent it. And he said, oops, what can I use? And I said, well, you're going to have an interesting day, but why don't you? And so he told me what he wanted to write on. He did that. Do not wait. That's why the thread says due by Sunday. So you mean by this Sunday, we will have decided what we want to write about? Sure, why not? Look through the book. Look at where you work. What kind of MIS, what kind of IT, what kind of technology, what kind of HR improvement, what kinds of whatever thing might you want to know more about for your particular organization. Now remember, this is not an assessment. It does not use the stuff from the assessments. It's something different, okay? Something different. And I've had students write to me and say, well, I know how to work a particular piece of software. I know how to do that. No, it's not a software demonstration. It can be an explanation of why to use that software and what value that creates for your organization or for you, but not just how to use it. When you do your final project, the objective is, ta-da, you're in Australia. No, you're not. You are down on the South Pole in the middle of the South Pole winter, and you cannot get out. And you have a responsibility to deliver that project to your executive who is sitting on the beach in wherever there's a nice beach. And so you have to send that to them so that your executive will understand what you're trying to accomplish and that it will convince them to do whatever it is you want to convince them to do. And that means you're going to have video and you're going to have audio, because you have to take command of the presentation because you're not there physically. And the internet's out, so you had to deliver it by some kind of other way. All right? That's the final project. That was fun, huh? Okay, case A. Always do, take a look at this. You'll find, and I'm going to just set you right down here, you will find instructions that says, case A, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. Okay. And then when you go look at the rubric, it might have something a little bit different. Well, I grade by the rubric. I've already told you that. I must grade by the rubric. That's what they made them for. So read these, figure out kind of what you want, and then go look at the rubric, and then remember section headings, rubric elements for each section heading, and fill your document out. Always explain things as well as you can. Who, what, when, where, why, how, right? One of the most difficult things that students tend to have is an inability to state a problem. And you go, well, what do you mean? Well, when you read a case study, it will already have a problem that the case people addressed. I mean, that's what they did. So can you tell when you read that? Maybe what they addressed is not really a major problem. Maybe they fixed something that really they could have fixed something else. Maybe there was some other approach that they could have taken. And you're really smart because you own the company, right? When you do your case studies. So what would you do? Not necessarily what they did. I don't want to know what they did. That's already there. I want to know what problem you saw. So how do you do a problem statement? You specifically look at what's there. Look at the case. And then you go, okay, if this were presented to me, this situation that all of this stuff is happening, the problem is, and that's a section heading, the problem is. And then right underneath that, one sentence. What am I going to do? The problem is, so this is the problem. So the problem statement is one sentence. Just tell me. So you can have a heading, problem statement, and underneath that, one sentence that identifies that problem. That's it. Okay? Reiterating, please do not just tell me what the people in the case did. That's okay. They did that. You need to recommend solutions and strategies to resolve the problem. Because remember, the course text was not written yesterday. We have all the world of history from the time that that case occurred, which is usually 5 to 10 years ago, right? That case occurred, all of what we now know to help solve, isolate, and recommend solutions. So do that. Be original. All I need to know and be able to see and that you demonstrated that you could do that and that you did that. All right, that was fun. So remember, what are you doing? That Star Wars thing, stay on target. So as you're working, stay on target, stay focused. Okay, here's some things to think about for case A. And by the way, when I'm through, probably tomorrow morning sometime at this point, I'll post this video and the PowerPoint out into an announcement. So starting, right? Summary, you're going to pull a bunch of facts out. Identify the issues. You're going to identify a bunch of them, not just one, and find as many as you can. There might be a dozen, some. And then you pick one that you want to solve. Now you can just list some strategies or solutions, right? List them and give a little bit of detail. And now what do? We analyze at least 2 solutions. How can you have, think about this. You go into your boss and there's a problem. And your boss says, okay, what do we do? Well, you need to have more than one option, because the first thing out of your mouth, you say something and they look at you and go, nope. And you go, well, there you are, you're dead. Bad idea. So you have to recommend your solutions, link that source and the supporting material, explain pros and cons, right? What's good about this potential solution? What's bad about it? That helps you make the decision. And you know why? Guess what? When you're working for real, and I'm sure you've seen this, you're working, what is a best solution today is great for today. But you do not throw away the work, because tomorrow the situation might change. It might not be on a day, but the next time the thing occurs, other priorities may make one of the other solutions optimal. So that's why you need to have more than one solution, and you justify and explain why your choice of solution is better than your other choice. So you have two choices and one of them is better than the other. That's easy to do, right? Okay. Okay. And then you have some kind of a conclusion where you just say, this is what the case consisted of, this is what we found, and this was the resultant solution. Like 3 or 4 sentences. It's not hard. Okay. And here are some of the questions from the case. When you, excuse me, think about it. They moved, and you might have already looked ahead and seen them, but I'm not sure. My voice is gone. Good for us, right? Moving the innovators from the lab can affect people. It can affect anything just because it's a change. People are going to resist change. Why? Because they can. They have power. Individual people have power. And most of the time, their best power is saying no to something. I don't want to do that. Okay? So, you'll see some resistance. Why? How can you overcome that? How could they overcome it? What did they do? What might they have done? And there's always this thing like the, I don't know, they call it the white knight or something like that, where there's some VP that's behind the proposal, whatever the project is, there's somebody, some super champion. And so that might have occurred on this case. And that's something else to think about. All right, ending on this, there you go. How do you find out what it really has to do? Go to the assignment thing, view the rubric, right? And that's the way you build your paper. Okay? Just remember pros and cons, good explanation, and issues. And that's it. That was easy, huh? Fun. I'm going to go ahead and stop share here. Now, if you have any questions, now's the time. If you do not, then you can write or call. The phone actually works here. Now I'll let you in on a secret. When anybody calls here, we found that we have been able to discourage phone solicitors by about 85%. I pick up the phone and I say, thank you for calling. How may I direct your call? And they hang up and go away. So if you hear that, you're directing your call to me and say, may I speak with? And away you go. Okay? All right. Anybody have any questions or comments? And if you look down in the bottom, there was the mute mic button on the left, and then the video button, and then almost in the middle is share. And to the right of the share is a thing called chat. And if you do not have audio, you can go to chat and type, and you'll see things like I just typed hello. And so there you go. Right? So if you have questions and you cannot, do not have audio for that, feel free to put the audio in or put your question in chat. Any questions or comments? It's open. It's yours. I'm going to turn on the radio on and say hello real quick. So it's open for you. And I'm going to turn my video back off if you need it. Have audio or video or chat. It's up to you. If not, then I will see everybody next week. Tell the rest of your colleagues they can come and they can enjoy this too. This is one of the longer sessions because it's the big one. It has to cover a lot, the introductory stuff. Usually we're able to finish in between 15 and 20 minutes, and you can spot me 15 or 20 minutes a week, right? Okay. Okay, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night. If no one says anything, I'm going to go ahead and close it. Okay. All right, we're done.